Hello everyone, and welcome to this tabletop-style showdown between the Vampire Counts, who are going to be led by Zardar Total War, and the Blessed Dread, who's going to be held by Hadries. So this replay was actually the grand finals of the most recent tournament held by the Lore Master of Sotek, and for anyone who hasn't seen the tabletop format, it's definitely quite a bit of fun. So if you're playing Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Warhammer 40k, you go into a tournament, you have one list, you don't get to sideboard, you don't get to change it depending on who you're playing. This tournament is pretty much the exact same. You get 8 players, you pick one race, you pick one army, with of course pretty much the same as ladder funds, and it uses the King's Cup rules. You go in with that one army, and you have to win against a multitude of different races, so you have to bring a little bit more of a well-balanced army, which is definitely quite a bit of fun. And it's also quite thematic, right? Because if you were, for example, if you were the great Heinrich Kemmler roaming about the old world, you would have an army with you. It probably wouldn't you wouldn't see the dwarves and be like, you know what? Well, maybe Heinrich could, because he could raise some Graveguard with great weapons if you saw dwarves, but typically you're just going to have the army that you're traveling with. So definitely very cool stuff. So anyways, this was the grand final of the Lore Master of Sotek's tabletop tournament. And if you guys haven't seen the tournaments, make sure to head over to his channel. You can watch them all in their entirety there. It's definitely quite a bit of fun. So I actually didn't play in this one, so I was very grateful that Zardar and Hadries here sent me the replay to cast. So for the Vampire Counts and Zardar Total War, he does have the glorious Heinrich Kemmler, who's taken some bolts to the face. You can see a couple of those bolts just direct impact right in his evil wizard hat here, but it looks like he's going to be somewhat durable against those blows. He does, of course, have Krell, Invocation of Nehek, Raised Dead, and the Van Hell's Dance Kebab. For the rest of his army, he's got skeleton warriors in the front line, and you know what Vampire Count army doesn't have its chaff core. And they're going to be followed up by the Stearnsman, Graveguard with great weapons. And the great weapons, I think, are a good choice in an all-comers tournament where you don't know what you're going to be playing, because yeah, they're going to be slightly less efficient against lightly armored targets compared to the Stearnsman and Graveguard, and they're not going to have the shields. But if you don't have enough armor piercing against, let's say, the dwarves or chaos, you're pretty much just going to get stomped out. So I think having the great weapons is a great conclusion. Up in the air, he does have the Terrorgeist. Terrorgeist is also another good choice. Anti-large, armor piercing. It does have good breath attacks. It gives you some good control over the skies. And he's also going to be joined by a couple fell bats, so he does have some spooky bats up here in the skies. On top of that, looks like Zardar Total War does have the Dire Pack, as well as another group of doggies over here. So the Dire Wolves, which are very good at harassing Empire back line, helping to kind of mitigate cav charges, support your own formation. Always a good choice. I really like his army. It's well-rounded, has a lot of cool units, and he does also have a White King, which you don't see terribly often. So we do have the White King roll in here, and he does have the bonus for his infantry. No items on him. I think he does have access to kind of a weird item, but yeah, it doesn't look like he has that. So for the forces of Hadries and the Blessed Dread, and that's also something that's quite cool about this format. You can get away with bringing sub-factions because your opponents don't know your army. You don't know who your opponent's going to be. You have no idea. So you can get away with playing Midland or a Clan Angrind or the Blessed Dread, and it's not really going to be punishing like it is on ladder, where your opponent can pretty much know, okay, he's going to bring Lokir, or he's limited to these other lords. But for the vampire elves, he does have the dark elves. He's got Dread Spears in the front line, the Hellebroni, the chillest of all the spears in the lands. He's got the Blackheart Corsairs, Lokir Felheart with the Helm of the Kraken. And man, this is going to be a tough cookie to crack. Lokir Felheart is an absolute tank. He heals, he has good combat stats, and yeah, he doesn't mess around. He does also have a Supreme Sorceress with Death, Spirit Leech, one of the most cost-effective spells in the entire game. It's safe, it's good in pretty much every matchup, so bringing it in all comers is definitely quite solid. On top of that, he does have a Bolt Thrower, I think, one Reaper Bolt Thrower here, and it looks like there's going to be another one up here on the high ground. On the flank, he does have Dark Riders with shields and another group of Cold One Knights, so he does have some pretty good anti-large, in conjunction with the Charybdis, because from my experience in the tabletop tournament metagame, most people seem to go very heavy with armor, so I think that's the reason why Hadries made it to the finals, is that he had a very good anti-heavy list. He has the Bolt Throwers, he has the Sisters of Singing Doom to Rampage, the big old Charybdis is going to be coming in with its bonus for its large and poison, plus Cold One Knights, so very, very solid build here. So I think it's about time. Let's get this show on the road and see how it goes. So the Bolt Throwers are going to be firing, and it looks like they're going to be going after the Terrorgeist here, which is a good choice. And you can see that Zardar Total War does actually give it a move command, which is the Zigzag, the Serpentine, which is going to make it a little bit tougher to hit. But we're going to see if the Bolt Throwers can connect here, as it does. Oh man, what a juke. That was straight up Matrix. Just dodge that thing with no problem. Look at this. Very, very good micro here by Zardar. This is some MLG stuff. But it does take one in the leg, but it's not going to be the most damage. But anyway, so Dark Elves are going to be preparing. The Dark Elves do also have several groups of the Blackheart Corsairs with the Handbows. Not going to be super good against Vampire Counts, but they are going to be able to poke the Terrorgeist, who only has 80 armor, and also do some work against Fellbats. Maybe chips down some of the Hounds, but at the very least, Blackheart Corsairs with Handbows aren't terrible in melee. And hey, they can also shoot Heinrich Kemmler, who does only have the base missile resist if memory serves. So the Corsairs are going to be skirmishing backwards. It looks like the Fellbats of Zardar Total War are going to be jumping on the Dark Riders with shields and forcing them back as well, but there are some Dread Spears waiting, who can probably polish those guys off pretty quickly. But the Corsairs not doing a whole lot. I mean, they are going to be shooting in, looks like going after the White King a little bit, maybe trying to poke the Stearnsman, going after the Necromancer as well. And it looks like we do have a Mana Battery Necromancer, I think, or no, he just has the Master of Undeath here, so maybe a bit of a distraction. So the Supreme Sorceress is going to be overcasting the Spirit Leech to get the extra range, and it does hit Heinrich Kemmler, doing a little bit of damage, but he should be able to cackle and do all his evil Necromancer stuff and heal up quite well. In the meantime, it looks like some Blood Knights coming in from the Vampire Counts, who I did miss, so my apologies for that in the introduction. But the Blood Knights were teamed up with the Dire Pack, which is a pretty typical combination. But it looks like Hadri's is going to be falling back with the Cold Knights and the Blackheart Corsairs and just trying to screen those guys out. But they're going to be taking a full charge. The Blood Knights of Red keep coming in and lancing down these Dark Elves, doing some beautiful work. But the Charybdis is nearby. You got to be careful. Charybdis with huge anti-large is going to be jumping in here and doing some good retaliation attacks here on top of the Blood Knights. And it looks like it has taken out a couple models. Now, if the Charybdis was to be surrounded by the Blood Knights, like right now, how it's overextending, that would be disastrous, but he should be able to fall back. There's also going to be a very good countercharge coming in from the Cold Knights, and it looks like the Blood Knights are starting to take a little bit of damage, as Hadri's does also follow up with the Spirit Leech on top of them. So, down to 30 models, definitely not happy. In the meantime, Zardar Total War does smell blood in the water. He comes back here with the Terrorgeist. He's going to be jumping on the Sorceress, which is a great pick. Terrorgeist can easily solo the Sorceress and kill her very, very quickly. So, and there's not too many things to peel, right? You have the Corsair handbows and maybe some spears nearby. And if the Sisters of Singing Doom get back here, however, that is a really good peel option. But for the most part, the Sorceress is taking a massive beating. In the frontline engagement, it looks like there's going to be Lokir Felhart is going to be dueling Heinrich Kemmler a little bit. He's at least nearby. Oh man, Heinrich Kemmler taking a lot of damage, so Zardar needs to get out of there. It looks like Lokir Felhart was on the hunt, supported by the Hellebroni, and they're able to kind of hold up these skeletons. But the White King is also here. The White King, a very good anti-infantry unit, should be able to put some hurt on Lokir. Granted, he would, of course, win in a straight duel, but both players definitely have some good options against one another. In the back, you can see the Blood Knights are just going to be cleaning up some of the Blackheart Corsairs. Some very good charging here. It looks like there was no invocation used on them, so they haven't been healed since they took that massive amount of burst damage. But in the back, a very, very bad situation for the Vampire Counts here, as the Terrorgeist is rampaged by the Sisters of Singing Doom. It's then attacked by the Direwolves, or not Direwolves, but by the Cold Knights, and it looks like the Vampire Count Direwolves are trying to peel and maybe help it escape, and they might be succeeding. They've kind of formed a bit of a blockade over here to allow the Terrorgeist to slip away, and it gets away. Cannot believe it, but that's pretty much a sacrifice for the Direwolves and this other group of the Dire Pack. So the Corsair handbows are going to come in here. Oh no, and the Blood Knights actually came into rescue as well, and it looks like they got rampaged by the Sisters of Singing Doom. So that's going to perhaps spell doom for these Blood Knights. We'll find out in just a moment. Up in the sky, you can see the Terrorgeist has gotten back, and I wonder if he's going to go for a breath attack here on these handbows. It looks like he does, but I have a feeling he's probably going to be used to snipe some heroes here in a moment. But the Bounce Fire is pretty much dead even. If we take a big old juicy look at the battlefield, you can see the Sorceress in the back has stabilized. She, of course, doesn't want to be overcasting right now, very beat up, but that means there's going to be a couple more Spirit Leeches. And you can see the Blood Knights are actually crumbling. The Blackheart Corsairs with handbows and the remnants of the Cold Knights, who are now retreating, but they actually did some pretty good damage against these guys. And the Charybdis in the front line is definitely causing some havoc for the Necromancer, as it's going to be fighting shoulder to shoulder with Lokir Felhart. And it looks like Lokir is also in a bit of a duel with his White King. It looks like he's been getting spanked pretty bad by Lokir with those dual blades there. But yeah, the Charybdis does not have regeneration, of course, like the Hydra, but it does have that anti-large kit. And does have the Abyssal Howl, which isn't useless against Vampire Counts. It's going to make them crumble a little bit quicker with that -8 to the leadership. So the Charybdis here is going to be fighting with the Sisters of Singing Doom as well. It looks like these Skeleton Warriors are going to be crumbling, and it looks like the White King might be following up shortly after. So Big Daddy Krell has been summoned. Looks like he's been in the pits a little bit, maybe just degenerating, but he's taking quite a bit of damage. But you can see he's just going to be beelining for the Charybdis, which is a good choice. Krell, of course, has anti-large, hits like a truck, and he's going to be racing that axe. He does also cause terror, which the Sisters of Singing Doom are immune to because they cause terror themselves. But for the most part, he's going to be quite a presence here. But Lokir Felhart just holding. He's always one of the last characters to go down. On the other side of the battlefield, you can see that Zardar Total War has grabbed this Terrorgeist, and he's done some pretty substantial damage to the Sorceress, and she's pretty much offline. So that's really, tough for the Dark Elves because they now have no magic, and Heinrich Kemmler, of course, still cackling, still going strong if memory serves. Let's actually see. Maybe he did go down over here. We just missed it. We have a Necromancer right here. We have Krell, and looks like the White King is fighting in there somewhere. Heinrich Kemmler is still alive, so that means there's going to be a massive magic advantage for the Vampire Counts, but the Charybdis is on the hunt. It's getting low, however. It's very, very low. There are some skeletons, and of course, Heinrich Kemmler does have his Pimp Cane to fight back, but the Charybdis was able to do some pretty good damage to Heinrich, but the Graveguard with Grey Opens have made really short work of the Dark Elf Infantry, and really the remnants of the Dark Elf Force are over here. We have the Blackheart Corsairs with handbows, 49 models here. These bad boys have 45, and another 61 here, but they are being chased down by the Stearnsmen, which is so effective. The Stearnsmen have those silver shields, they have armor. Handbows, of course, have very poor armor piercing, and yeah, these guys are going to be able to endure and absorb all that ammunition, and honestly will probably regenerate through almost all of the damage these guys are going to be putting out. And yeah, you can see a full health group of Graveguard here, Skeleton Spears over here, and yeah, what's really just keeping the Dark Elves in the fight is the Charybdis, and also the fact that the boy himself, Lokir Felhart, is doing massive damage and actually whooping Heinrich Kemmler yet again. So Heinrich Kemmler gets in the danger zone, he takes a lot of damage, he he needs to fall back. 677 HP, and the Cryptus is nearby. It could use its mass, it could chase him, and you can see the White King is going down as well. Lokir Felhard just out-dueling all these Vampire Counts characters, and the big Terrorgeist is going to be coming in with the steel Terrorgeist teeth, whatever you want to call it, doing huge damage against the Cryptus. Cryptus is at negative 15 leadership, it's wavering, it's probably going to be breaking right here, which is going to be disastrous. The Terrorgeist here is crumbling as well, both players just going straight up fisticuffs, and the Dark Elves have a ton of Dread Spears coming in, which could definitely maybe finish off this Terrorgeist if it sits in there, but it looks like Zardar Totawar, pretty on point today with his micro, is going to be pulling back the Terrorgeist and then sending in his Graveguard, who will make mincemeat out of those Dread Spears. But a massive resurgence of Dark Elves. You can see the Corsairs are coming back, the Sternsmen are coming back, they obviously couldn't catch anything. Coldwood Knights are going to be going to finish off Heinrich Kemmler. He's on foot, so he's going to get knocked over instead of taking the brunt of that damage. Of course, their bonus for Slarge not going to be terribly helpful, but Heinrich Kemmler's in the danger zone. 593 HP in this fight here. The Graveguard with Great Open still fighting, chewing away. Lokir Felhart in the same boat, and up in the skies, the Terrorgeist is going to be chasing off the Cryptus. So yeah, very good. Knowing the Terrorgeist is going down, get your value, chase off this Cryptus, because if this bad boy came back with 1,000 HP, was able to get in there, provide its armor piercing against the Sternsman, that could be a lot of trouble. So definitely some very solid stuff here by Zardar chasing this off. But Hadri's is doing an outstanding job of rallying his forces. He has all these handbows back, and they're actually beating the brakes off the Skeleton Spears on the flanks, and the Vampire Count's looking a little bit thin in this fight. I mean, it's basically the Sternsmen, and I guess they're in pretty good shape though. They still have 71 Graveguard here. They have 83 Sternsmen. I mean, it's going to be so tough to finish those guys off. Granted, Lokir Felhart hits hard. I mean, he has a bonus for his infantry, not the best AP, but nonetheless, just through sheer attrition, he might be able to do it. So Heinrich Kemmler trying to juke out these handbows. He's going to be summoning some more zombies back here, it looks like. But yeah, he only has 400 HP, give or take. And the Terrorgeist is coming back in, 419 HP. There's no Spirit Leeches, no ways to really kind of poke this guy out of the skies here. There are some handbows that could shoot up here, but Heinrich Kemmler, 323 HP. Terrorgeist has about 385, and it looks like it's going to be going for a big old breath attack, but it's going to be taking some bows. It's crumbling. It's so low, 323. Yeah, the only real forces here for the Dark Elves is going to be Lokir Felhard on foot and a couple very, very beat up Dark Riders. But the Terrorgeist is going to be landing, but it doesn't want to get too close. I mean, Lokir Felhart could finish that bad boy off. And for the first time in the battle, you can see the bounce bar has slightly fluctuated, maybe a little bit in the favor of the Vampire Counts. But remember, Heinrich Kemmler is almost dead. He has 323 HP, and there's some handbows coming back here. They have 3 or 4 volleys left, give or take, and they could probably finish off Heinrich Kemmler or this Terrorgeist, who only has 197 HP. And I imagine the Terrorgeist is probably going to be sent over here to maybe shut these guys down. But Heinrich Kemmler is crumbling. He has 200 HP, 241. Terrorgeist is going to be going in for the Alpha Strike, trying to push these guys off the battlefield, maybe shatter them, or at least break them. But it looks like the Terrorgeist, he gets taken out straight up Last Samurai out of the skies from those handbows. And suddenly it looks like a game that Lokir Felhart might be able to pull this one back in. Heinrich Kemmler at 26 HP. He's been doing too much cackling, and he's done for. He's laughed his way all the way to the grave here. And now it's just going to be Lokir Felhart just grinding it out here with his dual blades. And man, he's actually a pretty giant. I mean, he's way, way taller than these guys. I never noticed how big Lokir Felhart was. But he's going to be doing a pretty good job holding it down here. But these are Graveguard with great weapons, unfortunately, who are going to be able to get through his armor very easily. They have that nice bonus for his infantry, and there's still a whole nother group. Now, as far as what the Dark Elves have left, they have some handbows here, they have some Dread Spears over here on the far side, and it looks like they have a Reaper Bolt Thrower crew. So the Bolt Thrower crew here for the Dark Elves might be trying to get back onto the artillery piece. Its spray fire mode right now would actually be incredible against this very blobbed Vampire Count formation. But yeah, it's basically just going to be a grind fest. You can see here that Lokir Felhart fighting. He's going to be getting in on these guys with his bonus for his infantry, and he probably has a ton of kills right now. Let's actually go ahead and take a look. Lokir Felhart up to 117 kills, but the issue being for the Vampire, or not Vampire, I get them so, I don't know why, the banners are like tripping me out. I'm just used to seeing a regular Dark Elf banner, but the issue being for the Dark Elves is that he is getting very close to his healing cap. But look at this, he's actually crumbling the Graveguard with great weapons. A couple Dread Spears do come in to help out, but these guys are not going to have a good time against these, is that guy headless? I don't know if I've ever seen that. Some of the Graveguard, do they like get their heads knocked off and keep fighting? It's kind of cool if so. I've never seen that before. Maybe I just haven't noticed. But anyways, the Reaper Bolt Thrower crew, maybe they couldn't find their Bolt Thrower, so they're going to be jumping back into melee. Graveguard with great weapons, screening out these attacks, and now they're going to be countercharging into here to finish off the remnants of the Blackheart Corsairs. And Lokir Felhart does pop his Deadly Onslaught, giving him armor piercing, weapon damage, all kinds of juicy stats. But the main issue being is that his healing cap is imminent, and he's getting so close to death. And I really just don't think that he has enough to really deal with all the Graveguard with great weapons. I mean, the Dark Elves are getting in there, they're grinding, they're fighting, but of course these Corsairs, they're not going to want to fight great weapons either. And you can see that Lokir Felhart down to about 900 HP. And he's going to be fighting to the bitter end, but man, what an insanely close game between these two competitors, Hadri's and Zardar Totawar. But it looks like that's going to be the last rope here for Lokir Felhart, as he is sent off to the Shadow Realm here in just a moment. So that was actually the grand finals, like I said, of Lore Master of Sotek's tabletop tournament. Zardar Totawar was able to claim victory with the Vampire Counts. and the glorious Heinrich Kemmler, who's assisted by his White King and his Necromancer buddy. But it was a very cool build. He had plenty of anti-large with the Blood Knights, the Terrorgeist, also had the Dire Pack, and just in case he ran into someone like a Dwarf army, he did have the Graveguard with great weapons and had plenty of harass with the dogs and the Felbats. But Hadri's army was awesome as well. Lokir Felhart on foot, making it to the finals, taking out many great competitors along the way, getting there with the Charybdis, bolt throwers, tons of handbows. It was a very cool build. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Please make sure to check out Zardar Total War over on his YouTube channel. There will be a link to in the comment section below, and also Sotek if you guys are interested in seeing these tabletop tournaments as well as his glorious lore videos. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.